Clint Eastwood is back as Dirty Harry in the third film of the series, The Enforcer. In this film, he gets teamed up with Tyne, Daly's police officer. She becomes an inspector without really having any experience being on the streets as a police officer. She's essentially a paper pusher, a pen pusher. So yeah, as you can imagine, that really rubs Dirty Harry the wrong way. This time they're up against a group of villains who see themselves as revolutionaries. They've stolen a bunch of arms and they're going to use them. Now, I don't particularly like the villains in this film. I don't think they make much of an impact as, say, the villains of the first two. And there are times where things happen that you think are going to kind of come back later, that are going to play a role within the film for the characters, and don't. For example, one of the main bad guy, so to speak, the guy who seems to become the main villain in this, he kills one of their team, and this kind of has a bit of an effect on one of the other members. So you think, oh, that's going to play a part. You know, there's going to be a drift between these guys as a result of that, and maybe one of these will help out Harry. But yeah, it's never touched on again. So we have this moment where this guy is grieving for this woman, and then that's it. They don't touch on it again. So there's things like that in the film that kind of, yeah, let it down, I would say. It's not as tightly written, I don't think, as the first two movies. And the music in this film also is pretty terrible, I must say. I wasn't a big fan of the scores for the first two films, but I never found them overly obtrusive, you know? I'm just not a big fan of that era of music, that style of music, that kind of early 70s funk. But in this one, yeah, I mean, it's a different composer, actually. It was actually the same composer on all but one of the Dirty Harry movies, and that one is this one. And you really notice it, because it's just terrible. Like, there's one moment when there's this really long foot chase that goes on between Harry and this villain, this guy who's just bombed this police station. And the foot chase just seems to last forever. It goes on for minutes, and there's nothing overly exciting happening. It's just Harry chasing down this guy. But on top of that, we've got this awful music, just kind of, that seems really out of whack with what's going on. It's really obtrusive, really over the top, and just noisy and cluttered. And yeah, it doesn't work for the scene at all. And the music for the rest of the film as well is like that in places. For me, it just didn't work. The thing that absolutely does work, though, is the relationship between Clint Eastwood's character and that of Tyne Daly's. Now, this is definitely a precursor to her role in Cagney and Lacey, but yeah, the chemistry between them is spot on. I really like their relationship. I like the way it develops. I would just say that she doesn't quite get enough screen time. By the time that they're partnered up, it is pretty late on in the film. You feel like they could have got these two together a little bit sooner and then spent a bit more time with them once they are together. To be honest, I find with this film that when we have those two characters working together, it works and I'm interested and I'm engaged. But when they're not, and when we're kind of focusing on the villains, on what they're doing and what other characters are doing, I start to lose interest. I start to get a little bit bored, to be honest. I don't think that there's as much social commentary in this film as there was with the first two, or if there is, it's certainly not handled as well. I think that mainly comes down to the fact that with the first film, it was all about this idea that actually Harry is what some call a fascist. You know, he uses means that are rather extreme to bring in his prey. And then the second film kind of twisted that by putting him up against some other coppers who were kind of worse than he was, you know, so it had something to comment on his behaviour by holding that mirror up to him. Once you've said all that, there isn't a right lot else to say, so there's nothing that this film offers that hasn't already been said in the first two films. That being said, there is some really nice bursts of action in this film, as there was with the two previous ones. I just don't think it all kind of gels together as well. It feels a little bit messier, not as tightly edited. But yeah, I'd give it a 3 out of 5. It's a good film. It's not a great film. But yeah, what about you? How do you think this ranks amongst the Dirty Harry films? Have you seen it? Comment below, let me know, and until next time, thanks for watching.